Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Good evening, everyone. Hare Krishna. Good evening. Everyone is comfortable? Yeah? Okay. Thank you. So, today I'm just going to tell you some stories. I hope everyone likes stories. Correct? So, I'm an old timer. So, my story generally begins with once upon a time. Is that exciting or what? So, once upon a time, in a far, far away place, was a gentleman who wanted to explore. He had no idea what he wanted to explore, but he felt that my life has come to a point where I need to explore. So he shut the door to his apartment, threw away the key, started walking off wherever the road would lead him to. This monk did not have a Ferrari as of yet to sell. So he just walked off. And since the story is from the past, in those days, if you just keep walking down any road, and if it is a long, long road, then you walk into the wilderness. So once he hit the wilderness, he was excited. So before I make some of the ladies feel that I'm biased, the story is about a man right now. Therefore, it is a he. But if you want, I can make it a she. It's a story. It's an allegorical story. So the man goes into the wilderness. Or maybe because I come from India, I grew up in India. So growing up, the English that we learned was wilderness. So it's unexplored territory, basically. So after some time, he finds himself really in the wild. He has no idea where is what. This was his choice. So he keeps walking on. Before he realizes it, and before he could, even he had no idea that he was already in a forest. He just found himself amongst a lot of trees. He found himself trying to chart out his own path. The day passed. Since any direction was good enough to walk into, he just kept walking. After some time, he felt thirsty. He had grown up thinking that nature was always kind. Like if you walk off into the wilderness, then you're going to find water there, you're going to find fruits, you're going to find berries. You're surprised. That was not how the wild country was. It was much different. So he was thirsty. He did feel the beginnings of hunger pangs. He had no other option but to keep going on. Dusk started falling. Slowly, all the birds, they were returning to their nests. The sky changed color. His eyes were no longer able to distinguish the various features of the countryside clearly. So he stopped. Now he started wondering, what should he do? He looked around. For the first time, he noticed that his 360-degree view was just of trees, rocks, just a foliage. So I said, wow, this is really exciting. My first night just by myself. And then he saw the silhouette of what appeared to be another human. He's like, hey, hello. The figure comes closer to him and finds that this is what he would understand was the form was of an old lady, haggard looking. He had heard of witches, so he thought maybe this is a witch. A really old lady. Skins and bones, disheveled hair. She was looking right at him. Felt very uncomfortable. Turned around and started running. Help, 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 help. Shouting out for help. He peeked over his shoulder as he was running away, and he saw that the lady was still right there. So he ran and he ran. And as he was running, he felt as if the forest was closing up upon him. happens. You get disillusioned, then you're in anxiety or fear. So he was really scared. His heart was thumping against his chest. He was breathing hard. He could clearly hear the sounds of the wildlife around him because his senses were so much focused that he could receive all sounds now. The adrenaline was really rushing in his body. The branches, twigs, pebbles were no longer giving pain to him, although he was being scratched and he was being hurt all over. And as he was running, he heard the roar of a lion, what he thought was a lion. There is pin drop silence. Everyone is tuned in? Yeah? Okay. Roar. Runs. And suddenly he feels as if he's got wings. He's like, am I flying? Actually, the ground gave away under his feet. In that forest was a very deep ditch. Long, long ago, the forest people had dug up a deep well. The well had dried up. And since there were no visitors to that well, it was covered over by creepers, the opening to the well. Plunged right in. And now, not only did he find himself flying or falling, he found himself being engulfed by darkness. With hands flailing and legs kind of trying to seek some foothold. He was desperate. Suddenly his hands brushed across something and he immediately with his fingers tried to hold on. And he broke his fall. So you're somewhere in that darkness hanging onto something and he had no idea where he was, he had no idea what would happen. Look down. Couldn't see the bottom. It was all dark. He wasn't sure whether the ground was 6 feet away or whether it was 60 feet away. There's no idea at all. He looked up. Through a little opening, he could see the skylight. Shouted out for help. And then he saw very, very fearsome form looking down upon him. This form had 6 heads and 12 limbs. Don't ask me how. This is just a story that I'm telling you. And this peculiar animal was growling that down at him. And when the growl stopped, there was deathly silence. Suddenly the silence was broken by not a rattle, a hiss. He realized there was a snake somewhere under his feet. Tried to squint and figure out how far away the snake was. And to all of our surprise, he actually saw the snake. There was a dark black snake with piercing eyes, hissing out at him. Like the snake was inviting him to a party. Come down. He says, no, I don't think so. So for sheer life, he's hanging on to whatever it was. And then he tried to notice what was he hanging on to. And it was a branch out of nowhere. Somehow the forest overgrowth had grown into the side of the walls of this well, and a branch was going across from one side of the well to the other. So he held on to that and said, no ways I'm going down, and I don't think so I can go up too. And I don't think so I'm going to work out here to pull-ups. So what should I do now? It was getting dark, darker and darker. So he said, let me just wait for some time, hang on. Hopefully these animals will go away. And then I could try to climb out of the well or climb out of this ditch. So that animal that was there at the mouth disappeared. The snake was still there. But his hands were giving away. It was difficult to hold on. He said, he was an educated person. He had gone to school and college, educated person. So he said, right now, I think I should just believe in God. So he tried to make a deal with God. You save me and you have me for the rest of my life. No miracle. So after some time, when it was really quiet, he heard some sounds. It was as if there were some creatures who were gnawing away at something. So he turned to his left, his head to the left, and he saw that there was a rat, like a nasty rat, gnawing away at the twig that he was holding on to. He's like, shh, shh, go away, go away, go away. Don't gnaw at that. And then he hears a similar sound towards his left. And when he turns towards the left, he sees another rat gnawing away at that end of the twig. Now, even in the darkness, he felt that this was interesting, that the rat on the right was black in color and the rat on the left was white in color. It's like, wow. There are two different species of rat. Reality was that if they could gnaw through the twig, then he was going to fall. So in that state of desperation, started moving his limbs, started trying to move this way and that way to find some foothold against the wall of the well. And when he did that, he felt himself being stung with millions of stings all over his body. I hope this is not gruesome, is it? Not really scary, is it? Okay, all right. Millions of stings, like hundreds upon thousands of some creatures stinging him. You realize they were bees. He had shaken up a beehive, and the bees were stinging him. And now he was really feeling the pain. At that moment, as he was trying this way and that way to be comfortable, breathing in through his mouth, he felt a drop of sweet, sweet, sweet honey fall on his tongue. And that honey was so sweet that for a moment he went like top quality, organic honey, pure, nature's gift. After some time, he felt that I'm not getting out of this. But this honey is like God sent. This is so nice. This is so tasty. And his life being so miserable at that point of time, the only thing that he could look forward to was when would the next drop of honey fall? And in great eagerness, he was waiting with open mouth, his tongue stuck out. Please, please, my dear Lord, let another drop of honey fall onto my tongue. That is the end of my story. As I said, this was an allegorical story. Where is the story from? Not me. I did not write this story. I read it in a beautiful book of wise teachings called the Mahabharata. Some kind gentleman, a decent fellow, with good intentions, is the author of this book. If you haven't read the book, I would ask you to give it a try. The author's name is Vyasadeva. Good writing skills. At least the story is good enough. So then the author tries to help us understand the story. This story was, within this book, the story was told by a wise man to a king. The king was having problems sleeping at night. The reason being, he had too many ambitions in life. Over-ambitious. So whenever he had some of his desires fulfilled, his mind would immediately want more. So after some time, he could not really sleep well at night. So he had a friend, a wise man. And anytime he couldn't sleep well at night, he would call upon his friend and asked him, could you please help me sleep? And the wise man would tell him a story. So after this story, whatever desire he had to sleep simply melted away. It's like, I'm wide awake. Tell me, what does the story mean? The wise man said, the story is about you. He said, about me? He says, yes. Why me? And the wise man says, well, actually, it is about me too. He says, the story is about me as well as you. Where is the similarity? I am the king. You are a friend of mine. How can both of us share the same story? This is not good for Facebook, social media. I need to have my own unique story. It says, well, this is a story of every human. The king is interested. The king says, I think a certain audience in Springboro would also be interested in hearing about this story. So what is the story about? It is about the human quest. Being born as humans, we are blessed to have this potential to seek and understand. Our search and our understanding as humans goes beyond individual needs. It goes beyond the physical, the mental, emotional needs. As humans, when we feel a little satisfied about a physical and metaphysical existence, then we ask for more. We ask questions. We seek answers. What is the purpose of existence? Or what is the purpose of relationships? What is the purpose of this creation? What is the purpose of my life? We ask. And it isn't necessary that all of us have to sell off a Ferrari. That isn't essential. We could, if that is what we desire. Everyone is free to seek their own journey in life, and that is respected. However, it is not essential, because all we would need is to be aware of the simple things in life that we choose to overlook. Voluntarily or involuntarily, consciously or unconsciously, we chose to overlook. The potential is there. And most of us, at certain points of our life, we have tried to explore that potential that we have. So the person who's in our story, who's educated, who's been through school, through college, has had a life with friends and a family. Could be me or you. This particular day, the person wants to explore the wilderness. What is existence about? And when we try and do that, then we have to find the courage to be able to say no to the comfort zone that we have created around us. Like, let me go beyond my comfort zone. So when we go beyond the comfort zone, that is the forest, because you're not really sure what's going to happen there. You're not really sure how we are going to respond and what we are going to be reciprocated with. That's a forest. And in the forest, when it happen, in this quest, and this forest of life where we are trying to seek answers, most probably many of us would be meeting up with this old lady. The old lady who reminds us that, hey, every day as the sun rises and sun sets, you have moved closer to a particular destination. Now, I'm not speaking about the graveyard here. That would be like, I would want all of us to have an appetite after this. But every day we are moving closer towards old age. And old age, however we try to present old age as being beautiful, as being, oh, it's all right. Old age basically means that now we have to slow down and slow down so much that we ourselves might get frustrated with the way we are interacting with the objects around us. Because we've lived a life, a full life. We've done things on our own terms, and suddenly comes in old age and says, my terms now. So that's the old lady. No one likes old age. We try to run away from old age. Most of us wouldn't want old age to visit us, but she does come. Why is old age referred to as she and not he? That would be an interesting question to seek answer for. Because we always refer to creation, at least the tradition that I come from, we refer to creation as being a mother. She's always feminine. We find the masculine energy to be a little less compassionate than the feminine energy. Somehow, maybe because the masculine energy cannot understand the process of birth as much as the feminine energy does. So that closeness to life is very subtly understood in the tradition that I come from. Maybe it is understood in every tradition. However, we always refer to anything that embraces us as she. So it's not that old age is wanting to hurt us. We realize she wants to embrace us. Therefore, we address her as she. At the same time, we do not want her to visit us. It's like sometimes we wouldn't want our parents to visit us. Like, give me my space. So sometimes we would want space from this wonderful lady called as old age. Motherly instincts she has. So she's right there. Just as this gentleman runs away, we're trying to run away from her. But where are we going to run? Can we run away from her? We can't. Trying to run away from her, we make mistakes in life, like falling into a ditch. What is the ditch? The ditch is a one-way passage. Fall till you hit the bottom. That's life. You take birth till you have to end your life. But we are not going to give in so easily. We will fight for life. And it is correct to do that. Because essentially, we are living people. We are full of life. So we fight. We hang on to whatever is available, to whatever life offers us. We hang on to it. We try to preserve that, hoping against hope that it can be preserved. And in these attempts, we look up to see if there is any break that we'll get, and we see the strange animal. 6 heads, 12 limbs. This is, in this story, I kind of narrated it as it is. However, from my perspective as a person in the United States, I would like to say that this creature has 3 heads and 12 legs. Do we understand the analogy? In my tradition from India, the tradition that we call as Vaishnavism, there we have 6 seasons through the year and 12 months in a year. Here maybe I have 3 seasons, I guess, and 12 months in a year. So that is looking down upon us. When we are looking for a break, we are like, all right, enough of summer, of 4 seasons, I guess. Enough of summer. I want fall to come in. Give me a break. Winter, I want to go skiing. Give me a break. Spring, the smell of spring. Give me a break. They're hanging on to life. And look at this creature. The creature says, I'm ready to give you a break, but I will always be here. What about you? How long are you going to stay with me? Therefore, the creature growls down upon you. And what's waiting below? The snake of death. You hit the bottom there, and that's the end of it. The snake of death. Yes. So here we are, hanging somewhere in the middle of the changing seasons year after year, and the finality. There is death. But that is not all. There's more fun. Life, or those moments in life that we want to preserve forever, are being gnawed at by 2 rats. One is dark and the other is light. One is the day and the other is the night. Wow, that was rhyming. Yes. So days and nights, and slowly, they're like rats, you know. They take away our life force, slowly but surely. But we still are happy with this life because somewhere there is honey waiting for us. Drops of it. Gather that honey. To be able to taste that honey, we have to be stung by bees. Taxes? Calamities? Ill health? Too much of quiet, too much of noise. So many bees stinging us. And in the midst of all of this, someone says, oh, you're such a kind person. A drop of honey falls. Somebody else says, oh, I love you. A drop of honey falls. Somebody else says, you are beautiful. A drop of honey falls. Someone else says, you are amazing. Another drop of honey falls. And amongst all of this, if Elon Musk says something, a couple of drops of honey falls. Because stock markets are going to go up now. And our only struggle is day after day, month after month, year after year, for that taste of a single drop of honey. The king said, wow, the story makes sense. The wise man says, so what are you going to do about it? The king says, nothing. I guess this is a destiny. And the wise man says, why not chart out a different destiny for yourself? He's like, would that be another story? And the wise man says, how many stories would it take for you to start charting out your own destiny, making your own destiny? How many more stories? The king says, I don't know, you are the wise man. And the wise man says, what's stopping you from becoming wise? He says, what if all of us become wise men? Then you lose your status. No one is going to come to you. And the wise man says, the more the merrier. So this is life. It has its twists and turns. But as I said in the beginning of my presentation, there is that spark. There is that moment where each one of us as humans feel the need to seek answers. What do? We have to trust our instincts. And we have to follow our instincts. We have to be careful in doing that. We have to choose carefully. However, if we don't follow our instincts, who will? Would my neighbor follow my instincts? Those are my instincts. It is very precious. So I would request all of you to subscribe to my channel. Give me some likes. Sorry about that, but it's a request that please see if the story and what I said seems relevant in your lives. And if it does, you can send me some donation. That's a joke. If it does, then all I seek is your prayers. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments?
Okay. So you mentioned about charting our own destiny. Would you mind expanding on that as to how we could even begin that process?
Subscribe to my channel. Oh, please, you should. All of us have been trained to understand how to see cancers. So please go ahead and see cancers, and you feel that I or what tradition I belong to could help you, then get in touch with us. We'll try to share what we have. You could all have fun. So, as I said, I come from the tradition of Vaishnavism, Vaishnava philosophy. Vaishnavism means that I have faith that there is an intelligent creator who's also very compassionate. And my faith also includes my acceptance that I am of a similar nature as a supreme being. And we have a symbiotic relationship, which we call as reciprocation of love. However, there is an entire theology of this understanding of reciprocation of love. And in the present times, in 2021, this tradition of Vaishnavism is being shared by the institute that I belong to, called as ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. For the old timers, those who have been around since the 70s and 80s, we are those guys that always sing and dance Hare Krishna and give out books and good food. And for those of us who are in the 21st century now, we are a worldwide congregation from various backgrounds. And all of us are trying to understand how to chart out our own destiny. So in Columbus, Ohio, and Cincinnati, Ohio, we have centers of ISKCON. If anyone would want to connect with us, please talk to Vishwanath. Yeah, you can talk to him. Is that all right? The reason, if I be succinct enough in giving an answer, it would be it would need more elaboration. And if I give an elaborate answer, then the way I speak, it could take a few days. Hence, there are some books, you can take books, you can refer to those books. There are some answers there, or it's a good read anyways. One of the books is the Bhagavad Gita as it is. You could refer to that. Is that all right? Yeah? For now? Okay.
I don't want to monopolize. If anybody else has any questions, but I have a couple of follow-ups.
Okay, I love monopoly too. But I think, yeah, you can go ahead.
So, okay, so then following up on what you just mentioned, how do I even know that that is the answer? Whatever I hear is the right answer. Are there any preconditions for myself in order to even accept that answer, receive it?
It's fair enough to wonder whether the answer is okay for me. One of the ways is to see if you feel safe and you feel motivated enough to accept the answer. If you feel safe, it's a good answer for you, at least for now. However, this Vaishnavism believes in things or situations coming at you again and again and again. We kind of believe in time being circular. What goes out there comes back. So we do not feel that an answer today is an answer for eternity. We always feel that the answer today is, if I feel safe with that answer, it is good for today, and I have to explore more about that answer. So an answer is typically like a lighthouse for a ship out there on the wide ocean. That answer makes me feel safe, just as if the ocean is wide, a lighthouse makes me feel safe. I know I could head in that direction. And once I'm on dry shore, I go ahead. So we interact with people, we talk to those who have experiences that they can share with us or realizations that they can share with us. We analyze it, we see whether we are inspired with those experiences and realizations. And if we are inspired enough and if we feel safe enough, that is the answer for me. It may not be the answer for someone else, or it could be the answer for someone else too. They have to decide that. Everyone has to individually decide whether they feel safe with an answer that they have received and inspired to seek more, to understand more, or to explore more. Eternity cannot be static, can it? And it's not eternal. It has to be ever expanding. A great teacher whom I respect a lot, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, is also the founder Acharya of ISKCON. He says that in perfection, there are stages of perfect, more perfect, most perfect. That's an interesting concept. It means there is always more to explore, that which we feel safe and comfortable with. Is it all right? Yeah? Safe and comfortable. Yeah, take away words.
So, would you mind also talking about the preconditions, like for me to even accept that answer, receive it from?
Yes.
Would I have to be in a certain state of mind or consciousness?
The best seeker is one who's open enough to one's own instincts. That is the best seeker. If we are open enough, but we trust somebody else's instincts, we may or may not be, getting an answer that we like or we are comfortable with. It doesn't mean that we reject others' instincts. So we can seek help, we can share, we can interact. Ultimately, we have to make our own choices. Again, this another statement comes to mind. This famous personality at one point of time, he said that everybody has to fly their own plane. You may have your teacher that teaches you how you should be flying the plane. Ultimately, you have to be at the controls. Is that all right? So we have to trust our instincts. For that, to be able to trust our instincts, which would also keep us safe, we have to use our intelligence. You cannot just trust our instincts like, yeah, I think if I jump off this building, which is like 100 floors high, I'm going to be safe. without any safety gear. No, why do you feel you'd be safe if you jump off? My instincts. No, we have to use our intelligence too. Yeah. Okay. Is that all right? Anyone would like to add to that? Any other considerations? No? Okay. So we can start. More questions? Yes.
I think our ego sometimes comes up with the destiny we think is right.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you keep your ego in check? I guess get to the right destiny. I know you said that you have to feel safe, but sometimes you say, oh yeah, I feel safe, this is fine, this is the spot I'm in and I'm comfortable, I don't need to go anywhere else. So how do you get out of that and certain things?
In the utopian world, my ego is the only thing that matters. In the real world, there is always give and take. So if we live in the real world, it is not so easy to hold on to our ego. It creates a lot of issues and problems. So if there is give and take, we understand that everyone has ego. Let us see where is the common ground to move forward. And as soon as we try to seek some common ground to move ahead, ego gives way to a little bit of humility. So let's be real people. All right. Is that helpful? Yeah. Yes, please.
So you talked about comfort zone and going out and explore the comfort zone. But since our childhood, we are always been taught to be within the comfort zone because there is mom who's providing all the comfort to us. When we grow, then we need financial or anything parent is providing. So that mindset from childhood to our adulthood, we are always in comfort zone and we are taught on how to be within that comfort zone and not to explore outside of that comfort zone. So if that has become a habit because of all these years, how do a person try to get out of the comfort zone, which has been ingrown us within us over all these ages, and we know that habit takes longer time to break out. So what would be the trigger point or some way of saying that, hey, would like to go out of the comfort zone?
Short answer, idolize our moms. Because you said mom. Why, how is it that she gets out of her comfort zone for us? And if she can do it, we can also do it. The more we see how people out of love sacrifice their life energies for our comfort, the easier it could be to appreciate that and give back in return. So let us choose our idols with this perspective in mind. Would that be helpful? Okay. Yes, please. Would you like to go first?
Yeah, so kind of join in between of your next story. Sorry for that, but when I was hearing, you're going to so much of detail. For a second, I really thought it was your story, and then you said it was not your story.
No, it was my story.
Everybody's story. But I was just wondering, I think a couple of continuing that analogy or thinking about that, talk about old age, the lady looking at us and would the story be different if instead of running away from old age, we actually appreciate and accept it? And then what could we do differently? Like said, she's trying to take us into her embrace. What should be our thought process to really and reciprocate, right? And embrace it. So that way the story would not even have gone towards the ditch and falling down into the ditch. So even if we go and fall down in the ditch again, like you said, every day it's like day and night are flying away at the branch of the tree. What should be our state of consciousness while we are there? Like this particular story, where the person was, basically thinking about those drops of honey, small pleasures, but the end is destined, like you said, and you cannot get out of the ditch as well. So what should be the person's consciousness basically while we are in this material world? So there are two things here. If you would have embraced old age, you would not have like that circumstance.
Okay.
But if you do meet that fate, still, how do we keep a balanced state of consciousness that while we are living in this world, we still are not affected by it?
Okay. So the first inquiry is about the idea of embracing old age. I think on a lighter note, Hollywood would be interested in that story.
Elon Musk as well.
I'm not sure about him, but Hollywood definitely would be interested because they know that this story would be lapped up by people. Because people are hopelessly romantic at heart. I'm sorry when I say hopelessly. The reason I say hopelessly is because they're romantic and they somehow overlook the fact that to be romantic, you have to properly use your time. They feel that being romantic, everything is going to work. Everything will fall into place. Look around. That's not how the world works. I mean, the trees don't grow because they are having a romantic moment. The clouds, the rains, the sun, the air, all of these various physical factors are not functioning because they're having some romantic idea. Science, isn't it? So that's on a lighter note. However, philosophically, what would it mean when we say that we want to embrace old age? What would that mean? Does it mean that we accept being fatalistic? Like, yeah, that's my destiny. No one can avoid it. Everyone has to just accept it. And what kind of a seeker are we? Where is the courage? Why do we have this intelligence then? If we simply analyze and then finally just accept that, yeah, just embrace it. What does it mean, embrace? Do you think we really are ready for old age? I'm not just speaking in terms of the number of years, like, yeah, 80-year-old or something like that. This body, the metabolic function of this body goes on deteriorating. If you eat just 1 ounce, let's say half an ounce of extra carbs, the body takes like ages to digest that. So what are we going to do if this is how the body is going to respond? Are we going to find some elixir that is going to rejuvenate this body? No. I mean, yeah, we can wait for the scientists to discover a cure for the telomere shortening. We can wait for that. But most probably we won't be around. Maybe our future generations could be around if that does happen. Not we. Yeah. So what does, how do we relate to the idea of embracing old age? Or would a better approach, why should I say better? Why should I look down upon this inquiry? Would an alternative, let us say, an alternative approach be How is it that I landed up in a situation like this, where it seems that I'm inside a program? Can I break free of this program? Would that alternative approach be a little more courageous? How did I get into this? Where did I subscribe? Hey, subscription to this program. And it also means that you're going to go through old age. It's like some of those terms and conditions that we don't really read through and we just tick the box. It seems it happened like that. We just tick the box. Here we are. And like, why? What do we do? And look at the fine print here. You agreed to this. Okay. Yeah, I have to just accept it. That is how fatalism comes in. Are we supposed to be fatalistic? Personally, I don't think so. I wouldn't want to be like that. Personally. Everyone can have their own choice. Personally, I would want to see if I can break free. I would like to be free. I wouldn't want to be bound down by the concept of fatalism. The body, yeah, the body can accept that. So now then, since I've spoken like that, obviously, it means that I believe that there's a difference between me and the body. And that would be the precursor to an answer to your second question. What do we do about it? Seek answers to how did I land up in a situation like this? Now, if it is going to be that person who made me, I mean, he really loves to play Monopoly now. And I would have to have a good discussion with that person, he or she, you or they, you know. You have kind of set all the moves. So am I just supposed to be a pawn? Because if there's going to be, if the idea is that there's a symbiotic relationship, I offer something, you take, you offer something, I take. And it's supposed to be a reciprocation of love. Here it seems that everything has been pre-designed by you. So where is the dynamism here? Where is there to explore more here? So I would like to seek answers for that. Would you? Yeah? Yes. That is living philosophy, isn't it? It's not just philosophy put down by somebody in the books at one point of time. It's living philosophy. Yeah? Okay. Anyone else would want to add to this or disagree? No. Yeah, one question. Should that be the last question? Because he also raised up his hand. No, you could ask now, because he already suggested that he does not want to monopolize. So
going off this concept of this idea that we have the night and day death on both sides and we're hanging out with this branch. One question normally people ask, like, whether you're a person who have faith, whatever faith you take, whether a Christian, Hindu, Muslim, whatever the case is, if a person is in a line of faith versus somebody who's don't believe in any of these things, then why should one take up path of what we term devotional life or seeker? Why should one choose that path? Or
well,
because both of it, whether you have faith or you don't have faith, we all gonna die, correct? The night and the day we're hanging on to this.
so when we say faith, is it F-A-I-T-H?
Yes.
Faith.
Yes.
Are you saying that faith in a particular kind of traditional understanding?
Yeah, in a sense, I mean, like whatever religion, like, I mean, there are people who are atheistic, there are people who are, who follow their religion in terms of like in Hinduism, Vaishnavism, or Islam or Christianity. They have some certain paths of faith.
Okay.
But one of the questions people ask, whether I go to church or the temple or the mosque or I don't go, I will end up with the same, our destiny are the same. So why should I choose that over some, like, instead of like the traditional thing that you hear, life is short and short.
Okay. All right. Personally, for me, religion is that which helps me get answers to my inquiries. I took up to this particular tradition, Vaishnavism, and became a member of ISKCON, because in my life, I found that a lot of answers that I was seeking for, I did receive them here. I'm sure there could be other institutions where I could have gotten answers to. I'm sure in the sense, I believe that that could be true. So this is how I came here. That is how I'm feeling that since I received answers, maybe I should use my time also to explore more and share. I'm here. Would I want everyone to be following this institute? It's up to them. It's up to every individual. Whether we accept a particular institutionalized or traditional approach to getting answers to this question, or we want to do it using our developed intelligence, or a combination of both, those are all individual choices, I feel. I took it up because at that point of time, at a certain point of time, and even now, when I seek answers or when I want to explore more, I find a lot of facility here to understand. Why should people do that? Isn't that what we are all trying to inherently, or let us say basically, instinctively, isn't that what we are trying to do? We are trying to have good relationships. We are trying to have good values in life, where we are trying to be helpful. We are trying to accept help. Where does it seem that within all of this, we are ready to accept death as finality? We live as if tomorrow we would have more opportunities to give and take. Only when certain circumstances force us to accept the fact that maybe we are going to die, that is how we may accept that. Otherwise, we want to live. Why? Because when you are alive, there are interactions. When you're dead, you don't know whether there would be interactions or not. You can just believe that there could be something beyond that. So that is one, instinct. And another inquiry that I always had, which kind of made me open up to the idea that there is life beyond, is why would I accept that being born in a particular family, in a particular country, in a particular tract of land, be the beginning of my life? How does that even seem rational? Should I just accept biology like, yeah, that is the product of some interaction of chemicals? Or should I accept that that is the via media through which this happened? So if it is just by that, then where is the rationale behind it? And if it is the via media, then I would like to ask, then where am I transiting from? Where am I coming from? So then, because those questions are there, I seek answers for that. So any institution or any place which is beyond any institution that can give rational answers is helpful. Is that okay? All right. One final question. If gentleman here has a question, if there's anyone else, one last question. Or would anyone have a question? Anyone else? One last question.
Actually, by answering this question and his, where I was going with is, what are some of those fundamental questions that we can and should probably ask, right? And so you started on the journey of at least some of those questions.
Mm-hmm.
For our origin, for example, or so on. And I was just wondering whether, when you say that, hey, go look for answers, seek answers. So is there a guideline regarding what are intelligent questions we seek answers for? Versus like, hey, where can I find more honey? Or less bees, that kind of a thing. And that itself is a question,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so how would you go about answering that particular, giving us some guidance about how to ask intelligent questions?
Oh, personally, I trust everyone is intelligent enough. That's my personal opinion. And it's not just my opinion. I've seen people, I feel people are really intelligent. Even if they're asking about honey, they do it in a very intelligent way. So I trust them. I'm just, if I feel that I could be the vessel, I could be the medium, and I just want to be available to be that medium for somebody to, like the ATM machine for somebody to put in their card and get their currency. So I'm open for that, 24 hours. And I guess a lot of you must be open to that too. It's just, I'm not someone special. Yeah, so I trust that people use their intelligence and they use it in a very definitive and with very good intent. Trust that. Doesn't mean that I'm blind. Just because I trust people doesn't mean that I'm just like, I love everyone. No, I try to keep myself safe too. I trust people are intelligent. At the same time, I see to it that I am safe. If I feel that I'm unsafe, I trust their intelligence and stay away from them. I have to be safe too. Okay. All right. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Good night.
Let's chant Hari Bol 3 times, Prabhu. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.